Things that sellers need to be aware of whenever they're signing a purchase contract. These are really important, guys. You're signing a legal binding document. So these 5 items, the whole contract's important. Don't get me wrong. But these 5 items are things that you definitely need to think about when you're signing that contract. Mineral rights, especially if you're in Oklahoma and you have mineral rights, you want to pay attention at the time of this video for the contract that the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission has us use at the time of this video. Right here, when you sell your property, you're selling it with everything attached, the apparatuses, subject to zoning ordinances, plats, deed restrictions, utility easements, serving the property, including all mineral rights owned by the seller, which may be subject to lease. And then this is the important part: unless expressly reserved by the seller in the contract. See this sentence right here, which may be subject to lease unless expressly reserved in the contract. Okay. Then the contract adds the word and that stops that thought process, starts the new thought process, and excluding mineral rights previously reserved or conveyed of record. So if you're a seller in Oklahoma, if you're a seller, no matter what type of seller you are, always read the contract to see what real estate rights you're selling to that buyer. Does that make sense? Item number 1, pay attention to the mineral rights. Item number 1. Does that make sense? All right. Any comments? No comments. Let's go on to item number 2. If you happen to be in real estate, because I know a lot of agents watch my videos to learn, I want to talk with you about working together at eXp Realty. Get on my link, get on my calendar. Link is down below. Get on my calendar. I want to chat with you about how eXp Realty is obsessed with agent success. Attachments, improvements. Typically anything bolted down, nailed down is an attachment, a fixture, an improvement. All of that is going to go with the sell. So if you have a mounted TV, you want to pay attention to that. Attic fans, ceiling fans, bedroom mirrors, or bathroom mirrors, other mirrors, if attached, central vacs, floor coverings, keys to the property, built-in under cabinet counter appliances, the dishwasher, the trash compactor, the wine fridge, the stove, if it's a freestanding stove, under counter appliances. Okay, freestanding slide-in stoves, surround sound systems, lightings and fixtures. If you have an heirloom light fixture above the dining room table, you need to reserve that. You need to reserve it as a seller, because if not, it's going with the property. Fire, smoke, security systems. Do you have a Ring camera? If you don't reserve the Ring camera, it's going with the sell. That has to be reserved. Fireplace inserts, grates, screens, doors, heating units, humidifiers, water conditioning systems, like whole home water filtration systems. As a matter of fact, be sure to call Andrew Huffman, my buddy, Andrew Huffman, if you do want a whole home water filtration system. Why is it that going up? There it is. If you want a whole home water filtration system and you're interested in one, call Andrew Huffman. His number's popping up right there. He'll be able to help you with that. But when you go to sell the property, that goes with it. Unless you reserve it. Garage door openers, fences, including subsurface electric fences and components. If you have one of those expensive dog electric fences, it goes with the property. So pay attention to what you're selling. Pay attention to clause 4. At the time of this video, clause 4, super important. Remember, all my videos are at the time of this video. You want to pay attention to that. Any questions on those things? Mailboxes, propane tanks, TV antennas, sprinkler systems. All of that goes with it. Gate openers, water meters, trash memberships, if owned. All that goes with it. Okay? All right. Let's talk about the next item, abstracting cost. As a seller, when you sign this contract, you're agreeing to bring the abstract up to date. Which costs money. So you want to pay attention to that. If it costs $650 to update the abstract, you want to pay attention to that, because you're going to have a $650 fee if that deal doesn't go through. You're going to have a $650 fee to bring the abstract up to date. That's something you want to pay attention to, something that you're agreed to when you sign the purchase contract as a seller. Okay? Pay attention to these costs. Item number 4. Item number 4, breach and failure to close. If you need, now all of this, verify all of this with an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm giving you real estate agent advice. If the buyer for some reason breaches and fails to close, and you as the seller do not go to the title company and sign all your documents, if you don't go and perform all of your duties on this contract, you may not get the earnest money back, but you've got to perform everything as a seller. And that includes going to title, signing everything, even if the buyer doesn't show up to closing, even if the buyer doesn't have the funds to close. You've got to go perform all your duties to be able to hold them liable, or else you didn't perform everything on your side of the contract, is what I've been told by attorneys. This isn't legal advice. Consult an attorney for more information on that. But if you want to hold this buyer accountable for breach and failure to close, you also have to go close and perform all the duties. If there were TRR items, you have to make sure all those TRR items are complete. Does that make sense? Thumbs up if that makes sense. And then the last thing for today's video, guys, is it could be added to the contract. It's called a financing addendum, which could be added to the contract. And this is why making sure that buyer's pre-approval letter is legit, making sure that buyer's lender that they're working with is a good lender with a good reputation of closing, because right here, the first clause in the finance addendum, and this is most finance addendums at the time of this video for the state of Oklahoma, the contract is contingent upon the buyer qualifying for a conventional loan in the amount of blank plus private mortgage insurance if applicable. If the buyer is unable to secure financing and provides written notice to the seller or seller's broker, if applicable, within the time period provided in the closing, funding, and possession paragraph of the contract. That is this paragraph right here, guys, which basically says on or before the closing date. So if at any time the buyer loses their financing because of this addendum, as a seller, you need to know and pay attention to the fact that you may not even get the earnest money. If they lose their financing because of this contract, and remember, guys, these contracts are built to protect the buyer. The Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, they look out for the consumer. The consumer is the buyer in a real estate transaction. So that's something you need to be aware of. And that's why the lender is so important to pre-qual and make sure they're a good lender whenever you get ready to do a deal with a buyer in the state of Oklahoma. All right, those are 5 items that each seller needs to pay attention to when it comes time to sell their house and they're signing the fine lines. The agents that I work with and we go over these contracts in detail with you before we sign them. We give you all the highlights, and then we talk about things like this. This is a great video to add to your library. If you're getting ready to sell your home, we'd love to earn your business. You guys know to get on my calendar, all you've got to do is click on the link down below, the Calendly account, and that Calendly account is going to take you guys to this screen. If you're a home seller, land seller, click on my Calendly link. Click on this button right here, discuss selling a home. It's going to take you to my schedule. Book a time that's good for you. Fill out the short questionnaire, and myself or one of the agents that I work with will give you a call back to discuss selling your home. Thanks so much for watching today's video on 5 items sellers must know before signing the real estate contract in the state of Oklahoma. If you enjoyed this and you want to share it with your spouse, your friend, your loved one, or an employee or fellow coworker at work, absolutely do. I'd love to spread the wealth. The more informed you are, the better you know, and the easier the transaction is. Josh Barnett, HB Realty, guys. I'll see you on the next video.